to somebody who knows that he's been a doctor to him, a lawyer to him, a non-regulator to him. Somebody give him some praise. We know that you should have already been in the devil's hell, but he put a Savior when he pulled you out in the nick of time. Can somebody give him a shout of praise? Hallelujah. Glory, 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 glory. Hallelujah. What an awesome God we serve tonight. You can be seated. Hallelujah. Glory, glory, glory. Every song that has been sung tonight has went right along with what I'm going to be preaching here in just for in a moment. I'm not going to preach all night long. Unless my spirit man grabs a hold of me because my flesh is tired. But I'm ready. I'm ready to preach after that kind of singing. I can tell you that right now. Let me first of all say that I'm so thankful for everyone that's been here the last couple of nights, and for those that are here for the first time tonight. I appreciate you being here. I often say this everywhere I go. I've heard me preach, and for you to show back up, that's a big deal because I wouldn't. So I want to say thank you so much for being here tonight, and for Pastor Sossaman and all the people at South Henderson. Thank you for being here. And but every song, matter of fact, I'm going to go ahead and get ready for the altar service tonight, so y'all can go ahead and prepare for it. That song about Jesus that y'all did, y'all started off with Baby Jesus. We're gonna go there tonight, so y'all can get ready. So I know how some musicians and singers are. Is they like to be on the platform while they're doing their thing, and then they go outside during the preaching. But I haven't seen that here, and I'm thankful for that. Actually, I've said that before in another church, and the musicians, their daddy was the pastor, and I called for the musicians, and they were out in the vestibule, and I said, I think tomorrow night I'm going to put the pulpit in the vestibule, and that's where I'm preaching, because that's apparently the hangout joint. And I want to go to that song about Jesus tonight, because that's who we're going to magnify tonight. People have asked me about my grandfather. We didn't go last night. We were headed that way. They said that they had just taken him back from the ER when we left church last night, so they were thinking that that wasn't too serious if they let him sit in the ER for 3 hours. Apparently, they've never been in the ER. I've been in the ER. Felt like I was dying, but they came back, called, and we went up there this morning. When my grandfather fell in the shower Saturday, he bled just a little bit on the outward, but the X-ray shows that he has a brain bleed, and they sent him home. Said there's nothing that they can do, and I think I've cried more today than I have all year long, and that's all right. I said last night that often we fluctuate between spirituality and sensuality, and today I was the grandbaby, and I was loving on my grandfather, and to hear the hospice come in and begin to say what they were ordering, I wasn't ready for that. But one thing that made me happy was before we left, Granddaddy wanted to pray. And we began to pray, and I could tell they wanted me to lead it, but I was in no fashion to lead a prayer this afternoon. I was crying. I would have done nothing but sob like a baby. So my father began to pray, and the Holy Spirit, you could feel the anointing of the Holy Ghost in that room. And my grandfather, who was sedated all night long and all day long, had done nothing but sleep, did nothing but sleep. To hear him pray in the most alert voice, you felt the presence of the Lord. And I'm going to tell you, there was a time that I could say, thank you, Lord. It was this afternoon. I'm going to tell you that right now. I'm going to go right into my message tonight. If you want to turn with me to Mark chapter number 11, it's the story of Jesus making his triumphal entry into Jerusalem. I think I will read this instead of narrate it. Very, very interesting passage of Scripture. Your Bible said, when they came nigh to Jerusalem unto Bethpage and to Bethany, at the Mount of Olives, he sendeth forth two of his disciples and said unto them, go your way into a village over against you, and as soon as you be entered into it, you're going to find a colt tied, whereon never man sat, and bring him to me. And if any man say unto you, why do you this? Say ye that the Lord hath need of him, and straightway he'll send him hither. And they went their way, found the colt tied by the door without in a place where two ways met, and they loosed him. And certain of them that stood there said unto them, what do ye, loosing the colt? And they said unto them, even as Jesus had commanded, and they let them go. And they brought the colt to Jesus, cast their garments on him, and he sat down upon him. Thinking about this message all day long today and seeing the events that has been just unfolding before my eyes with my family, it amazes me the little things that people do not notice when it comes to walking with God. Sometimes I think it's because we as Christians, we're always looking for the big thing. We're looking for the spectacular. But the sign of God's favor in your life is not always manifested in the big things. But many times it's in the little insignificant things that you don't even notice that He's doing. He has come here in our text down out of the Mount of Olives. He's right outside of Bethany. He's standing there and he's just talking to them. He says, there's a village next to you. Now, I want you to get the picture here. He's standing in Henderson and he's talking about Cottrell. He said, there's a village next to you, and there is a colt tied where two roads meet. Now, nobody did any more than you did. They didn't shout about that. They didn't have a praise break. They didn't start bucking and running when they heard that there was a colt tied where two roads meet. They never questioned him. They just listened to him. And I sit here and I read this, and even though I know Jesus was omniscient, he was, however, 100% man. And for him to be talking to his disciples, telling them that where two roads meet, there's a colt tied. Nobody's ever sat down on him. My thinking is, how do you know that? You see, many times we think that we're tricking somebody when we're praying. We're thinking that we're making God aware of a situation that we're in. And we think that we're tricking him about what's going on. But you've got to understand here in our text that Jesus knows about a colt tied up in another city, knows exactly the pinpoint idea, the place where he's at, knows that he is in a village where he's not at. He, matter of fact, knows the address of the colt. He is better than a GPS. He's better than Siri. Knows the history of the colt. Said, hey, that colt, nobody's ever sat down on it. And Jesus said to him, he said it, and he said it as if it was absolutely nothing. Amen. It's amazing to me the things that God does for us, and we don't even notice that He's doing it. I think it's because, I think it's trendy here now because it's Christmas time. I think it's because we're trying to get our wish list done. And we're praying to God to do this big thing and do this big thing, and we need this big thing done. And that's what we present to God, that we don't even notice the little simple things that He does for us every single day of our life. You know, those little things like keeping that car running. Those things like waking you up this morning. Things like being able to throw a Tide Pod in your washing machine that's 20 years old and somehow it still rinses and cycles and agitates and drains, and you don't have to call the Maytag man every other week. Somehow or another, I know those things don't sound impressive. I know it doesn't sound like something that you came to church to shout about, but can I tell you something tonight? That He does those little things every single day of your life because He wants to show you that He is in love with you. But we're so worried about the big stuff sometimes that we don't even see the little insignificant things that He does for us. Just touch your neighbor. Ain't nobody here with us. Just touch your neighbor and say, hey, it's the little things. It's those little things. It's those things like keeping my mind regulated. It's those things like keeping my heart beating every day. I know it doesn't sound quite impressive. And maybe some of you got a bigger house than I thought, but I'm just thankful that I don't live underneath the bridge. I'm just thankful tonight for the little things that God has done in my life. I know I don't have a fancy job with an impressive title, but at least I got food on the table. I thank God for the little things that He's done in my life. And when you can begin to give God a big praise for the little things that He's done in your life, you can beat the depression of the world. I mean, when I hear about all the negatives that the world has to offer, I can just think about the little things. I mean, I don't even thank Him for the big stuff. Like giving me a woman like this to be called my wife. My good God, I'm not even worried about that right now. Just because He's gave me car keys and I know how to walk from revival to revival, I can just thank Him for the little things in my life. I thank Him because He woke me up this morning. I thank Him because He let me sleep through last night. I thank Him because He kept me when I wasn't even thinking about Him. I can thank Him. Can somebody praise Him for the little things in your life? I was headed home from Greenville today, and I just began to, in my mind, thank the Lord for 2 weeks ago for stopping out of Cracker Barrel. And I didn't even want to stop at, but some kind of way or another, the Lord knew there was a massive wreck down the road 10 minutes later, and so I can thank the Lord now for saving me when I wasn't even thinking about what was going on. It's the little things. Did somebody give Him a shout of praise? He said, I want you to go down to the village next to you. He said, I've got a colt on hold. He can't get anywhere. He can't go forward. He can't go backwards. He's probably a little upset because he's tied up. But don't worry about that. I got a hold of him. And I want you to go get him. And I was reading that and I thought about so many times how the Lord gets us all tied up. And it don't seem like we can go forwards. And we're not going backwards. And sometimes because you're tied up, you get a little frustrated because you don't want to be tied up. You don't want somebody to have you control where you can't move. But God said, go and find that colt who's tied up. He said, I've got a plan for his life. And can I tell somebody tonight that you may feel like that you're all tied up, but God has a plan for your life. And just give a little time. God's going to come by and show you that I know the thoughts that I have towards you, says the Lord. I wish I had half a church in me. You see, she came up here and she started singing about, I thank you, Lord. And then I'm up here talking about being tied up. And we don't want to thank the Lord for being tied up. But we are. I mean, I know we Pentecostals, we always want to talk about God loosening everybody. I'm going to be the first one down here to the altar. I've been tied up. Preacher, I want you to pray that God will loose me. Not tonight. Because you see, sometimes I think we need to stop and just be real sometimes. And we need to think about God tying people up. Because I don't know about your God, but I serve a God that'll tie you up. I serve a God that'll tie you up while you're acting crazy. I serve a God that'll tie you up while you're trying to do your own thing. I serve a God that'll tie you up while your temper's raging, while your attitudes are out of control, while you're saying things you won't not be saying, and everything that you've always had to work for you, your money, your friends, your popularity, they ain't working for you because God will tie you up. He will not let you get away, but He says to you tonight to stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Is there anybody that can testify who knows what it's like to have been tied up? Things not going the way they want them to go. Been tied up. Games I can normally get into, I can't get into them. He's got me tied up. Favors and friends that I could normally get to work out for me, they ain't working out for me. And you're trying to figure out what in the world's going on. Can I tell you? He's got you tied up. Yeah, I want some people right now. It's about 12 minutes until 8 if you'll take the medicine. But I want some people right now. Your situation is completely tied up. I want you to have enough faith to praise Him today on credit for a miracle that you'll catch up to tomorrow. I haven't got my healing yet, but I praise you that you're Jehovah Rapha. Oh, I don't have enough money to pay my bills, but I'm begging you today that you're Jehovah Jireh. My God, can somebody praise Him right now for a miracle that is you are praising Him for? There's people out there looking at me right now. You ought to see what I'm looking at. I got people looking at me like you look like and sound like the biggest idiots. You want people to get excited about being tied up. Who in the world wants to get excited about being tied up? Why do you want everybody to give God a praise for being tied up? I'm going to tell you something. I may be tied up, but at least I'm His. I said I may be tied up, but at least I'm His. I may be lonely, but at least I'm His. I may be broke, but at least I'm His. I may be frustrated, but at least I'm His. And that's why I've got a song in my mouth. I'm glad that He tied me up because He stopped me from doing some things that I would have. When I see how my friends got loosed, Lord, I thank you for tying me up. When I scroll their profile on Facebook, and they're 39 and 40 years old, and they're still acting like they're 15. Lord, I thank you for tying me up. Hey, when I see the neighborhood kids that I used to play ball with, and I look at the mud shots, Lord, I thank you for tying me up. I wasn't happy about it then, but I can shout about it now. Lord, I thank you for stopping me and tying me up. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. When I think about the job that I almost took, let me just sit here and talk about that for a minute. Me and Kim, we got married. She came from Oklahoma to North Carolina. 14, 15 years in the dental business. She was the head honcho, Not she wasn't the dentist, but she was the only one in the office that knew what was going on. And she was doing all the picking, the cleaning, the flossing, and all that kind of stuff. 15 years of that. She comes to North Carolina. None of her stuff would transfer to Carolina. Couldn't find a job. I don't think we could have found a job flipping burgers at McDonald's. I applied, got accepted into Highway Patrol School. Everybody and their mama always asked me, that's what I am. I was like, no, I try to preach. They said, but you look just like a highway patrol. Got accepted into Highway Patrol School. We went and was going to go talk to the bishop in Falcon. The day that we left to go to Falcon, she gets a phone call from a dentist office. I get the notification from the law enforcement, and they're ready for me to come on board. The day that we're leaving, because we're going to take a step out of faith to go into full-time ministry. We've been looking for jobs for 4 months and couldn't find nothing. I know that's a double negative. Don't worry about it. We couldn't find a thing. And the day that we said we're going to go talk to the bishop is the day that we got 2 phone calls within 5 minutes of one another. And I will tell you something now that I can look at 6 years later. When I think about the job that we almost took, Lord, I thank you for tying us up. When our people look at me in neglect, Lord, I thank you for tying me up. When people have blocked me and deleted me on Facebook, Lord, I thank you for tying me up. When I'm shopping in Walmart, between the beans and the carrots, and Brother so-and-so is getting ready to walk down the same aisle, and he sees me, and he goes to the next aisle, and goes over to open it. Lord, I thank you for tying me up. Can somebody in here give God a praise for tying you up? That last part must have resonated with some of y'all. I'm almost done. Maybe. Then I looked at this text. Jesus talking to his disciples. The next thing I do is I praise him because he knows where I am. Now, I'll be honest with you. I can't find a lot of people who knows where I am. I got a lot of folk who they try to figure me out. I try to tell you, it's almost habit and routine. Sunday morning of revival. It's almost like it's just what comes out after you give the thanks for letting me come here. The next thing is, you're going to try to figure me out. Don't. You're not going to be able to. I wake up some mornings. Me and Kim's been married for 6 years. And I still try to mess with it a little bit. I didn't know you did that. 6 years later, she still can't figure me out. So don't expect to do it in 3 days. But I'm going to tell you somebody that knows where I am. He knows my thoughts. He knows what I'm going to say before I can even put the subject and verb, the adverbs, the pronouns, and the prepositions in my head to get them out as a sentence. He already knows. He knows my thoughts. He knows my attitude. He knows what's going to come out of my mouth. He knows how I'm going to react to a situation. And I'm going to tell you, there's a whole lot of people who think they know me that really don't know me. They don't know where I'm at. But it helps me to understand that the God that I serve, that even when I'm crazy to some of you, he knows where I'm at. Even when I'm at a crossroad and I can't make a decision, he knows where I'm at. Even when I'm tied up and I can't move and I can't think for myself, he knows where I'm at. And I am thankful to know that the omniscient, all-knowing God knows me and everything about my life. The third thing I'm thankful for is that when the time is right. See, that's the problem we church people got. We don't like when the time's right. We got to rush everything. We got to figure out how to get out of the situation. We're like those crackheads on cops, sitting in the back seat of a car handcuffed, trying to get out. God's got you in a situation, and instead of just thanking Him, because He says, I already know the thoughts that I have towards you, you're trying to get out of the very situation that He's put you in. Because He knows that if you just sit here, be still, and know that I'm God, and He'll let you learn just a little bit, that eventually when the time's right, He's got the key, and He's going to unlock the lock, and He's going to set you free, and He's going to loose you. Some of you may get stuck right now, but it's only a matter of time. Some of you may get weeping right now, but it's only a matter of time. Some of you may have to catch a ride to go to work, but it's only a matter of time. Some of you may need a job right now. Can I tell you, it's only a matter of time. God is going to heal it. God is going to take care of it. God is going to straighten it out. And I'm thankful because He already knows the time for your life. I'm almost done now. I'm almost on my last one. Last thing, maybe. Last thing. I have learned to say maybe. It keeps me out of trouble. I used to say, give me 2 more minutes, and I wound up doing 20. The next thing I want to show you is, and this is what really gets me, is the Lord said to him, He said, bring him here. And tell those people that's got that colt who wants to know what in the world you're doing. He said, you tell them that the Lord hath need of them. Now, that's where I about lost my natural white mind. Because just to think of who I am and the situations that I've been in my life, and the Lord said, bring him here to me. I have need of him. You see, that ministered to me because I grew up thinking that the Lord only needed folk who had their act together. You know, the ones that showed up on this planet with no sin in their life. You know, those church folk that want to point fingers. When you don't look like what they think you ought to look like. When you're shouting on Sunday, but you slipped up on Monday. And then you come back to an altar. And what they want to do is act like you a burnt out cigarette and just stomp on you. I think I'm in the middle right here. Because Christians, you know what? I don't even think I'm going to use that word. Because there's nothing Christ-like about it. Church folk, I'll use that word. Because I'm not impressed. Church folk are some of the cruelest individuals on the face of this planet. For anybody that can shout and then walk right out of the door and talk about their person they're sitting beside. Because maybe they haven't reached the standard that they have reached. So we walk out of the double doors after talking in tongues, and our halos crooked, resting on our horns. Oh, they can't sing in choir. Because I saw them. You know, I got a cousin. I've got a cousin. He's probably one of the most intellectual people I've ever met in my life. He is smart. He owns his own business. He started his own business when he was 16 years old. He built himself a bedroom, a kitchen, and a living room. Paid it off. Added more room to it. Paid that off. Now, the same house that he started in when he was 16, now he's 45 years old. And now he lives in about a 7,000 square foot house that is paid for. He's smart. Amen. But you know how many times he goes to church? None. You know why? He was raised in church. And every time that he messed up, we're going to yank you off the platform. You can't play the bass guitar because you haven't lived holy this week. And I go around and I try to talk to him about the love of Jesus. He says, you want to talk about the love of Jesus? Let me take you to church and show you half the congregation who will talk in tongues one minute and they'll put you down the next minute. No wonder the world doesn't want anything to do with us because we are as miserable as they are. I don't know where that came from, and I think that was all right. But the text says, he said, go get the coat and tell them that the Lord has need of him. And I was raised in one of those churches where, you had to have the tower of power. Higher the hair, the closer to heaven. You know what I'm talking about. Couldn't wear makeup. I mean, I was down with that because I wasn't wearing. Until somebody came along and said, you know what? I can't even say what they said. I don't get it. They said something about a barn thing. I don't know what it was. You ever heard that one? If you hadn't, just meet me outside. Everybody's trying to figure it out. Anybody here knows I'm going to tell you this is, every old barn looks good with fresh coat paint. Couldn't wear jewelry, couldn't do this, couldn't do that. I just went to church. I was like, wait, what can we do? I mean, I had to go swimming at youth camp with boys, but with blue jeans on. I mean, I think I tried to kill me because I couldn't kick my legs. Wearing blue jeans in the pool, I weighed 250 pounds and I was 9 years old. Of the waterway. Couldn't do this, couldn't do that, couldn't do this. And that's the kind of church I grew up in. So I thought, the first time I ever goofed up, that's it. I knew that at the age of 3 years old that the Lord woke my dad up in the middle of the night, told him that God's going to use me in ways that he could not even dream possible. And I thought the first time I messed up, I said, well, I guess God either lied or he missed it. Because I've messed up and I'll never get to the level of Brother So-and-so up there or Sister Yay up there who has never messed up in their life. Who came out talking in tongues. Who the first time they started walking started shouting. I'll never get to that level. But I came across this verse and I thought to myself, you know what? That coat was tied up. And God said, I have need of him. And I'm going to tell you something, that made me happy because that let me know that even though that some of us, we still in a mess, he says, I still need you. He said, I know that I still got some yokes on your life, but I still need you. I know you got some bondages somewhere, but I still need you. I know you still got some addictions and bad habits, but I still need you. I still have need of you. He said, tell him, bring him here to me. And then he predicts opposition. He tells me, if anybody tries to stop you, he says, you look at them and tell them, you're not coming anyway. He says, you look them square in their eyes and tell them, I'm coming in Jesus' name. And you just tell them the Lord has need of me. Yeah, I messed up the other day. I may have said something I shouldn't have said, but you know what? I'm coming in his name anyway because the Lord has need of me. I'm going to tell somebody something tonight. You don't need to fight your battles in your name. You need to fight your battles in Jesus' name. Because in your name, you'll never get the victory. But in the name of Jesus, you are sure for the breakthrough of your life. Can somebody shout the name of Jesus? Somebody shout the name of Jesus. Somebody shout the name of Jesus. Jesus, tell them you're coming in Jesus' name. Tell somebody that you're coming in Jesus' name. I'm going to tell you, when you start praying in the name of Jesus, hell begins to get nervous. When you start mentioning the name of Jesus, witches are going to fall back, and hell's going to begin to tremble at the very name of Jehovah God. Because your Bible said that at the name of Jesus, every knee is going to bow, and every tongue is going to confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. So if that is true, then cancer is going to have to bow to the name of Jesus. The name of leukemia is going to have to bow to the name of Jesus. Our blood pressure is going to have to bow to the name of Jesus. Seizure is going to have to bow to the name of Jesus. Somebody give him a shout of praise. There's something about the name Jesus. I said there's something about the name Jesus. Jesus over your house. Jesus over your finances. Jesus over your babies. Jesus over your job. Jesus over that condition in your body. Jesus over that mountain. And I want the devil to know that we're praising the name of Jesus. And we're not praising the universe. And we're not praising the unicorn. And I'm not praising Socrates. And I'm not praising Aristotle. I'm not praising Buddha. I'm not praising Muhammad. I'm not praising intellectualism. I'm not praising Gnosticism. But I'm praising a name whose name is above every name. My name is I'm praising tonight is Jesus. And somebody give him a shout. Jesus. He's your healer. Jesus is your deliverer. Jesus is your waymaker. Jesus is your doctor. Jesus is your lawyer. Jesus is your mountain mover. Jesus is your lily of the valley. Jesus is your mountain mover. He's the bright and the morning star. His name is Jesus. And the book says that the righteous run into it and they are saved. Somebody shout the name of Jesus. I'm going to get one more point here. I'm going to go around that last verse in our text. The Bible said that they brought the colt to Jesus, cast their garments on him. Jesus sat down upon him. Now I'm going to tell you something. You really start researching from Genesis to Revelation, every time that the Lord sat down on something, He flipped it upside down. I went one time and I read that He sat down on the earth, and there He separated the firmaments. I read in another text where He sat down on the Mount of Olives, and there He began to teach the Beatitudes. He sat down on this colt and He made His triumphal entry into Jerusalem. I read in the book of Acts chapter number 2 that on the day of Pentecost He sat down on 120 believers and baptized every one of them with the Holy Ghost with evidence of speaking in tongues. Can I tell you tonight that if He sat down and flipped their world upside down, He's ready to sit down on your situation, and what the devil meant for evil, He'll fight for your good. Somebody give Him a shout of praise. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I'm thankful for this because I hadn't been there in a while. But starting when I was 16 years old, it felt like my second home was in the courtroom. Well, I used to, yeah, right. when I can get from here to my house in Gastonia in 2.5 hours, I ain't learning nothing. Yeah. Touching the Lord, that's right. I get on 85, and I think that's the speed limit. So they said, as long as you stay 10 over, so I'll go 94. I'll go 94 on 85, and I think we're all right. Now, I remember having to go to court when I was 16 and 17 and 18. I'm 39, so this will take a while. And I would sit there in those little pews, and it almost looks like church. It don't feel like church. That deputy sheriff, bailiff guy, he'll stand up, oh yes, real loud. The superior so-and-so is coming in, and we got to stand up for him. And he comes in that long black robe, and he takes his seat behind his bench. He doesn't say these words, but just by him sitting down, he's letting everybody know the court is now in session. And I was thinking, as I was putting this message together, somebody in this building tonight that you've been under attack. And you have walked into the courtroom of all courtrooms. And the judge of all judges has walked in and stepped into your life. And he has sat down on your situation, and he's letting every devil in hell know this one thing. Court is now in session. And I'm here to tell you tonight that I don't care what the doctor said. I don't care what the lawyer has said. I don't care what the banker has said. I don't care what your situation is. The judge has sat down in your situation, and he's let the enemy know that court is now in session. And he is sitting down on your situation. He is sitting down on your doctor report. He's sitting down on your finances. He's sitting down on your family. He's sitting down on your kids. He's sitting down on your job. He's sitting down on it, and he's letting every devil in hell know that not only am I the judge, but I'm the jury, and I'm on your side. And I'm going to tell you, the devil's going to walk out of here empty-handed while we leave here with the victory that we got in the name of Jesus Christ. If you believe it, stand with me and give him a great hand of praise, because you know that he is sitting down on your situation. I want these singers and musicians to get this song ready. Because I haven't done this one in a while, but I'm feeling one of those what we used to call those old school, old-fashioned Pentecostal prayer lines.
Okay, anybody do?
Now, if you got somewhere to be, and you ain't ever been in a Pentecostal prayer line, you might want to go ahead and slip out. You ain't going to upset me, but I'm going to tell you, I'm just going to let the Holy Ghost do what the Holy Ghost does. I've done everything that I could do. Now it's Him. And I'm going to tell you something. If you've got a situation in your life where you need the Lord to sit down on it, I want you to come right here and make a straight line. Right here, we're going to pray for you. If you've got a situation, I don't care what it is, you've got a situation and you need the Lord to sit down on your situation. The doctor may have told you that you're going to die and cannot live. But I'm going to tell you, when Jehovah Rapha comes in and sits down on your sickness, He will make you whole. I'm going to tell you, when the banker says that you're about to lose everything to God, that Jehovah Jireh will come in and He'll be your provider. That's the kind of God that I'm talking about tonight. If you've got a situation tonight, I'm not going to beg you to come. Either you need it or you don't. And if you don't, I'll go to the Waffle House a little bit earlier. I feel the Holy Ghost in here. We're going to lay hands on everybody in here on this prayer line. I believe that when you walk out of here, Lord, every situation that you've got is going to change. Just like this, I'm not going to ask the Lord for next month. I'm going to ask the Lord right now. Father, in the name of Jesus, God, as we begin to pray for these individuals in this house, God, we ask you, Lord, that you let your anointing go in the name of Jesus Christ. Holy Ghost,